Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am a mortician and I have grown up in the funeral home and been around death my whole life. While I was in mortuary school, I worked for a funeral home that also had a contract doing corner call removals. A corner call is basically a sudden passing, homicide, self unaliving, car accident, drug overdose. So it's very sudden deaths, and they are in a range of all different kinds of scenes and situations. So my job was to show up, assist the medical examiner, help with bagging of the person, tagging of the body bag, and then delivering them on my cot to the medical examiner's office. I get to drive them there. I'm like the chauffeur of death. So because I was a student during the day, I would cover the night shift. So without a doubt, I would be at the morgue in the middle of the night between 2 and 3 a.m. all by myself. It really didn't take long for things that started happening to me that I couldn't quite explain. I had a call one night for a child who had drowned, very young, and I went and picked them up. And by the time that I got back to the morgue, it was 3 a.m. in the morning, as per usual. I brought my cot into the building. We have this receiving area that we bring them into. And then a part of my job is to pull them from my cot over to the autopsy table. And then there's a book that I log them into the book with their name, weight, date of birth, everything like that. And it's just the steps we take to log somebody in, if you're following me. While I'm distracted and while I'm doing this, I have my back turned to the room and I heard someone walking down the hallway toward me. And my brain kind of short circuited because it's 3 a.m. and I specifically remember pulling into this parking lot and there's no other cars at this building. I know that I am alone right now. Then I listen a little bit harder and the footsteps sound like a child's. They don't carry that heavy sound. It sounds like there is a kid walking down the hallway trying to sneak up on me. If you've ever played hide and go seek with a kid, you might know what that sounds like. They're trying to be sneaky. It was slow, it was calculated, and it was a light step, 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 step coming down the hallway straight for me. I froze. All of the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I had hair on my back that stood up on end that I didn't even know I had. I stopped writing mid-sentence, and the whole room, it felt heavy, it felt cold. I knew that I was not alone in that room. The footsteps got to the end of the hallway, and I was waiting to hear if they would come into the room and essentially walk right up to me, but they didn't. They stopped at the edge of the hallway before they came into the room with me. I held my breath. I waited, I held my breath. It felt like minutes, but for all I know, it could have been 30 seconds. And then I heard the footsteps pivot and run back down the hallway, the opposite direction away from me. My brain decided at that moment to start to do something again, like I could operate. So I threw the pen down. I didn't even finish filling out the paperwork. I turned around. I very gently rolled that individual into the morgue cooler and I busted ass out of that building. I don't know if I've ever been so afraid. Probably because I grew up and I was always kind of taught and raised in a religious household where it's the demons, you know. I've since gotten to talk to my friend Amy, who's a psychic medium on this app, and she told me that if I would have just taken the time to calmly sit down on the floor, I probably could have connected with the spirit of that child. They could have come over, been able to touch me, and show me what their last moments would have been like. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if that's something that I'm ready to experience ever, but that is just one of the experiences that I had at that morgue. And I would show up and just blast my music super loud every single time at 3 a.m. so I wouldn't hear anything. I would feel things, but I wouldn't hear them. And I would just go super fast and get my job done as quickly as I could and get the fuck out of there.